What's good with you, YouTube? I am TheCaliEffect, King of Games, and today we're going to be watching an exciting match between Prankkids and Sky Striker, seeing how Prankkids can handle some of the top meta decks inside of April of 2019. Chip102 piloting Sky Striker is going to go ahead and go first, and we're going to see an exciting game from both decks. He's going to go ahead and start off with the Sky Striker Mecha Modules multi-roll, and this card is one of the most powerful cards with the deck, especially when you can combine it with Sky Striker Airspace Area 0. Basically, what you do is you activate the multi-rolls by targeting a card and sending it to the graveyard. Your opponent can now no longer respond to any of your spell effects. And then if you send a card like Area Space Area 0 to the graveyard, you can trigger its effect, allowing you to special summon a Sky Striker monster from your deck to your side of the field. He's then going to go ahead and special summon Sky Striker Ace Ray, which can then fuel his link plays. But that's not it. He has a lot of playroom to work with, and I'm pretty sure he's going to show you a little bit later. Chip definitely thinking about his options. We already know that he didn't have Sky Striker Mobilize engaged. That's probably one of the cards he would have activated first. It allows you to search into your good Sky Striker cards, possibly even go into this combo a little differently. But we do know that Chip does have something up his sleeve, especially how he's sequencing these cards. He's going to go ahead and activate another copy of his Sky Striker Airspace Area 0. And seeing that both effects are once per turn, he's going to use it on his Sky Striker Ace Ray, and then trigger Ray's effect to spell summon a monster from the extra deck to the side of the field. This accomplishes two things. Airspace Area 0 allows him to excavate and add one card that he excavated from his deck to his hand, and he also gets a monster out of it. So it's a win-win situation for him. I'm going to go ahead and use Thanos in my hand. I think I call it Thanos, the Altar of Realities. I'm going to special summon that monster to my side of the field, and Thanos is really good against the Sky Striker matchup. Because as you guys can see, Chip102 added a Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor from his deck to his hand. And when Thanos or any of my monsters are targeted, I can discard one card from my hand to negate the activation and destroy it. So it virtually renders that monster useless, as well as provide another monster on my side of the field, and also give me some protection. It gives me some pretty good presence. So it looks like Chip is already on he has a great hand, but he's on the downslide, because that Thanos could be altering how this game state is. Both players exchanging their decks, and I just wanted to say that this is one of those games where it's kind of awkward, because now we're placing our decks in the correct zone. Chip102 is going to set two cards face down and then trigger his effective Sky Striker Ace Shizuku. And the reason why this card is so good is because it allows you to add one Sky Striker card from your deck to your hand that is not one in your graveyard. And as we know, Chip only has the Area 0 in his graveyard, so we can add a Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, which will then fuel his play for later turns. It's really good to end on your Shizuku because it allows you to add those Sky Striker cards that you don't have in your graveyard to your hand, and can essentially be a reinforcement of the army for your deck. So we know that one of Chip's cards face down has to be at least one Widow Anchor. We know that Thanos only has Thanos' effect is a once per turn, both for the summon and for the negation. So it looks like Chip does have a little bit of wiggle room. If both of those cards are Widow Anchors, he can essentially play around the Thanos and force me to discard. He's going to go ahead and pass it back to me. And I'm going to start off my turn pretty exciting as well. I'm going to start off with Terraforming. That's going to allow me to add a field spell from my deck to my hand. There are two targets in a Prankkid deck, or there could be two targets. One is Prankkid's house, the other one is Fusion Recycling Plant. And for the people that don't know what Fusion Recycling Plant does, is it essentially searches you a polymerization and recurs you resources at the end of your turn. But Prankkid's Place is a very, very, very exciting card to play inside of this deck. Upon its activation, you get to add one Prankkid's monster from your deck to your hand. You kind of need it, but you don't want to see it in multiples inside of your hand, because this card is a hard once per turn. The next great thing about Prankkid's Place is that its ability to increase your monsters or decrease your opponent's monsters, depending on how many times you fusion summon or exceed summon with a Prankkid's monster to your side of the field. So it can be very, very helpful. And seeing that I've already added a Prankkid's monster just by activating Place, it sets me up in a pretty good position to start fusing or link summoning. The only downside to Thanos inside of decks like this is that all of your Prankkid monsters require Prankkid monsters, and Prankkid monsters exclusively. So Thanos basically just sits on the field and provides some field control, allowing you to play Yu-Gi-Oh, but normally isn't a part of your Prankkid's plays. I'm going to use Polymerization, and now I'm going to fuse Prankkid's Roxy's and Prankkid's Fansies, and more often than not, we're going to go ahead and fusion summon right into the card that you want to summon on your turn, Rocket Ride. Now, Rocket Ride allows me to special summon 2 Prank Kid monsters to my side of the field, but I'm going to do a little bit of chain blocking in case he had a Nash Blossom and Joy Spring, making Prank Kid's Rocket Ride Chain Link 3 and the other Prank Kid monster Chain Link 2. Looks like Chip 102 is going to respond with the Widow Anchor. I'm going to go ahead and respond with the Thanos. He has the Effect Failure. What is going on? But I have the Cold by the Grave. Those chain links are freaking insane. 1, 2, and 3 being Prank Kid's Rocket Ride, then 4 being the Widow Anchor, 5 being the Thanos, 6 being the Effect Failure, and 7 being the Call by the Grave. How many times do you guys see a chain link where it goes over 3? That is insane. Some really good counterplay between both of these decks. And if it wasn't for the Thanos, I think we would have been in a very bad position. As you can see, Chip 102 had 2 negates and, you know, only had 1 Call by the Grave. So yeah, not only that, Call by the Grave doesn't really work on Sky Striker, Mecha Widow Anchor. So yeah, Thanos is pretty good. It's the reason why it has that huge price tag. With Prank Kid's Roxy's, I'm going to go ahead and banish and draw. The card that I'm banishing is Thunder Dragon Dark. Now, that allows just so many other combo sequences to happen. It allows Prank Kids to play a little bit more freely. You don't have to worry about going into your Summon Sorceress play, because you're going to get your Thunder Dragon Colossus to your side of the field no matter what. I'm going to go ahead and special summon 2 Prank Kids Drop Seeds to my side of the field and then trigger the effect of Thunder Dragon Dark. I'm going to allow myself to get Thunder Dragon Hawk from my deck to my hand. Now, Thunder Dragon Hawk is a critical piece because Dragon Dark gets you the Thunder monster. You also need Hawk to not only be able to fill the requirements for you to special summon Thunder Dragon Colossus to your side of the field, but also get another Thunder monster to your side of the field so you can tribute for Thunder Dragon Colossus. It looks like we're going to have an insane board. Instead of going into Prank Kid's Dropsies, it looks like I'm going to go ahead and go into a different monster. Prank Kid's Lampsies is the monster of the day right now. And mainly because if I were to go into double Dropsies right now, I'd probably be forced to make that Totally Awesome play. Whereas Lampsies gives me a little bit more wiggle room, and we'll see. So if you guys want to see this Prank Kids deck profile, it's really exciting, it's really fun, and more importantly, it's in 2019 of April. Prank Kids are still pretty fun to play, and I think they're a solid tier 2 deck. Go ahead and smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen, destroy it. Let's see if we can get to 350 likes, ladies and gentlemen. I know you guys can do it. Prank Kids are too strong. I'm going to go ahead and use Prank Kids Rocket Rides effect, and I'm going to tribute it, obviously, especially since the effect is negated. It's going to allow me to special summon 2 Prank Kid monsters from my graveyard to my side of the field. And those Prank Kid monsters are going to be Prank Kid's Fansies and Prank Kid's Roxy's. Now, I have a plethora of monsters on my side of the field. One would think, especially since I haven't used Pandemonium yet, I can still go into whatever I want to. I see a Summon Sorcerer's play if I really needed it, but Thunder Dragon Dark is already banished and I already have the Thunder Dragon Hawk in my hand. So I don't need to tutor into the Summon Sorcerer's play. What I need to do is just gain resources and proceed to lock out the Sky Striker opponent. Possibly making a Nightmare Griffin and a Totally Awesome would be the best play. And I'm going to start doing that by using Roxy's and Flamesies, or Lampsies, for a Link Summon. We're going to go ahead and use those 2 monsters for the summon of Prank Kid's Dodo Doodle Doo. Now, Prank Kid's Dodo Doodle Doo allows me to add 1 Prank Kid Spell or Trap card from my deck to my hand. One that comes in mind is either Pandemonium if I'm trying to make some type of Fusion Disruption play, or I can just add into the Prank Kid's place if I want to get Recursion or some type of Reinforcement of the Army effect on the next turn. I'm going to go ahead and get the Prank Kid's place because adding any other Prank Kid's monster, or any other Prank Kid's card, my apologies, doesn't really get me the advantage that I need, but Prank Kid's place sets me up for the next turn if Chip 102 actually breaks my board. So looking at this combo sequence, or this play right now, yes, that's actually exactly what I would do. I'm going to use the Thanos, the Dodo Doodle Doo, and the Fansies for a Link Summon. Now, this monster is actually, it's not as good against Sky Strikers, but it's kind of sneaky good. What Nightmare Griffin does is that it allows me to discard 1 card to set 1 card to my side of the field. Now, I can discard a card from my hand to set the Call by the Grave to further disrupt this Sky Striker Ace Ray, but I'm not. I'm actually just going to go straight into the Totally Awesome connected to the Nightmare Griffin. The next sneaky thing about Nightmare Griffin is that your opponent has to have a link arrow pointing to a monster to activate their effects. Well, Sky Strikers tend to have those monsters, you know, only 1 monster, and it's kind of hard to have them point to another monster. So it's definitely a situation that Sky Strikers put themselves in, and Thunder Dragon, or Nightmare Griffin, I say Thunder Dragon, can be pretty problematic for them, depending on the situation. I'm going to special summon Thunder Dragon Colossus, offer my special summon Thunder Dragon Dark, through my special summon Thunder Dragon Hawk, which was triggered through Prank Kid's Roxy, and the Cold by the Grave, icing on the cake to banish the Sky Striker Ace Ray. it looks like Chip 102 is in a very, very bad spot. So now that the Sky Striker Ace Ray is banished, I can practically do whatever I want. I can attack with the Thunder Dragon Colossus, and his monster was reduced by 500 because I did Link Summon. And then I can attack with my Totally Awesome and Nightmare Griffin, inflicting as much life or as much damage as possible. This is going to put Chip already in a bad spot in turn 3. Little spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. These games don't really last long. Prank Kids and Sky Strikers have a very fierce first few turns, but that's pretty much where the game is decided. I think one of Prank Kids' strengths is that it forces Sky Strikers not to play the long game. Because the longer they do decide to play that game, Prank Kids just get stronger and stronger. And when you go into a time situation, then yes, you have Prank Kids Dropsies and Prank Kids Lampsies to inflict damage and to gain life points. So I'm going to pass it right back to Chip. And he's going to go ahead and start his turn by using his Sky Striker Airspace Area 0. He's going to reveal 2 Ghost Ogres and an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. I know he's not feeling this right now. That Airspace Area 0 not only would have put a 3rd spell card in his graveyard, if he would have gotten an Engage, if he would have gotten a Widow Anchor, he would have been able to negate and take the Thunder Dragon Colossus. No, he just probably would have negated it. Oh man, no, actually, he's still in a pretty tough bind because, no, because then he can always use his multi-rolls to send the area space. No, so we'd be in a pretty decent position if we were able to hit a card like Widow Anchor in that particular situation. We know that he has a Sky Striker Mobilize Engage in his hand already. Unfortunately, Thunder Dragon Colossus just says no, pretty much. He can't really do anything. And I know Nightmare Griffin doesn't point to Thunder Dragon Colossus. You would think that, hey, Thunder Dragon Colossus cannot activate its effects, which is true. But the only problem with that is Thunder Dragon Colossus doesn't have any effects to activate. Its first effect is a continuous effect. The second effect, well, I mean, it's a continuous effect. It doesn't activate. Banishing Thunder Dragon monsters to protect himself and preventing your opponents to search, they just linger on the field. Nightmare Griffin has nothing to do with that. So Chip, thinking about his next play, I think, yes, that would be the correct play. Using multi-roll on his Airspace Area 0, he's going to prevent those monsters or his spell cards from further being, responded to. And I'm reading Totally Awesome just to make sure I can't negate the multi-rolls, because that would probably be a card that I'm looking for. I know he doesn't have any of the resources that he needs. He's going to go ahead and use that airspace to spell summon Sky Striker Ace Ray to his side of the field. And he's still in a pretty tough bind, because now he can use the Sky Striker Ace Ray for a Link Summon into maybe a Hayate, or, I mean, because even if he does make a Hayate, he can attack directly, but Hayate is not linked, so can't activate its effect. Yeah, so he's definitely in one of those spots. And even if he were able to activate Hayate's effect, we can only assume that Totally Awesome is going to rear its ugly head to negate one of those monsters' effects to prevent Chip from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Chip is definitely in a tough bind. He's going to need another extender, possibly a Sky Striker Hornet Drones in his hand. He can point the Hayate to a Kagari, but then we're still in the exact same position. I have Totally Awesome on my side of the field. Chip deciding his options. He's down to 1,400 life points to 8,000. Huge differential right now. He's looking through his graveyard. He has the 3 spell cards that he needs to be able to trigger his Sky Striker alternate effects. Possibly even a Sky Striker Afterburner can do pretty good justice. It can destroy a monster like Nightmare Griffin or force the activation of Totally Awesome. And then he can try to play off of that. So yeah, Chip's definitely deciding on what he's going to do, ladies and gentlemen. What is going to happen? And yeah, he's going to go ahead and scoop it up going into game 2. That was a pretty long time of, playing that the world's smallest violin, picking up Chip 102's fears. So Chip is actually going to open up pretty well, and he's going to get the opportunity to go first again since he lost. He's going to start off by activating a Upstart Goblin. It's going to give me 1,000 life points, but the secret thing about Upstart Goblin is that it puts another spell card in the graveyard. It's probably a good reason why Upstart Goblin can't come to 3 in the TCG. It just fuels Sky Strikers even better. He's then going to follow with Foolish Burial Goods. Oh, sweet. Another card to put another spell card in the graveyard. Foolish Burial Goods is going to send that Metal Foes Fusion from his deck to his graveyard. And look, Chip 102 already has 3 spell cards in the graveyard. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to see this Sky Striker deck profile, then check out my Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. There is a certain reward, and for as low as $1 a month, you guys can see exclusive and extra content. Just a little bit of an incentive for you guys to join Patreon, and a little bit of a thank you for supporting this channel. I really do appreciate you guys' support. So that Foolish Burial Goods in the graveyard. He has 3 spell cards in the graveyard, as well as the Metalfoil Fusion and the Upstart Goblin. He's going to go ahead and continue off his plays by activating Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. And this card is huge right now. Why? Well, not only does Engage get him a free search of a Sky Striker speller or Sky Striker card from his deck to his hand, it also allows him to draw a card because he has 3 spell cards in his graveyard. And that's where the essence of Sky Strikers come from. They gain a ton of advantage by having extra spell cards in the graveyard. They allow you to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the best thing about this Sky Striker deck is that almost every single one of their cards is already spells. So once you start to pump out those Mobilize Engage, getting whatever you need, and then getting that free +1, you start to steamroll your opponent. Where Sky Strikers lack in, which is providing an ample amount of damage on the field, they make up for generating tons of advantage. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and shuffle his deck, obviously, give it right back to him. And I know a couple of people have probably been wondering, Cali, why do you shuffle your deck, or shuffle the opponent's deck after they search, even if they're going to search again or whatnot? On this channel, we try to be, obviously no one's perfect, but we try to be as perfect as possible. And we know that after somebody searches, you're supposed to shuffle their deck. We want to emulate as good as a high-level event as possible, so we can give you guys the great content. We're still trying to clean up on those mistakes that we've been making. I know, it happens. And again, I want this to be the best duel channel, the channel that you guys want to go to. Is that another Sky Striker Mobilize Engaged? What is going on? Chip has already drawn 2 cards, literally off of just doing nothing. And now he's going to draw another card off of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. And search on top of that. Chip's hand is looking huge right now. But yeah, back to what I was saying. We want to be the best of the best when it comes to duel content, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you guys enjoy the road. It's a little bit bumpy. We've improved from here and there, and we look to improve and get better even after that. So Chip drawing an additional card. Looks like he was not so sure about that Mobilize Engage, but it's kind of late for that Chip. He's going to go ahead and activate his Sky Striker Airspace Area 0, and then he's going to normal summon Ace Ray using Area 0 to target the Ace Ray and then chain Ace Ray's effect. He's going to be able to special summon Sky Striker Ace Kagari to his side of the field, and then use Kagari's effect to add a Mobilize Engage back from his graveyard to his hand. Chip is just balling in advantage right now, but not before he resolves his Airspace Area 0, and it's going to get a multi-roll. He's going to get a multi-roll. That is, yeah. Chip is definitely in there right now. That multi-roll is only going to get him advantage. Multi-roll reminds me of Spellbook of Judgment for you guys that played it back in that format. Every time he activates a Sky Striker spell card, it's going to add a counter to multi-rolls, and then during the end phase of the turn, he gets to set Sky Striker cards with different names back to his side of the field. Now, we did have a previous duel before that we're going to put up. We had to obviously redo that duel because there were some mistakes. Man, Chip 102 set 2 engages and 2 Widow Anchors at the same time. That was insane. So he's going to go ahead and activate that Sky Striker Mecha Multi-Rolls and then follow up with the Mobilize Engage. He'll be able to get a Widow Anchor from his deck to his hand and draw a card, as well as place a counter on his Mecha Multi-Rolls. So this is definitely putting me in an increasingly difficult position. He already has 1 negate on his field. He's going to draw another card. He's going to be able to set that Engage back to his side of the field due to multi-rolls. And if he plays his cards right, he can actually have another negate through, he can have a second Widow Anchor. Really hard to play through double Widow Anchor, especially when your opponent's just rolling an advantage by activating Sky Striker Mobilize Engage 3 times and Metalfoil Fusion. He's drawn quite a few cards. He's had his fill. He's now going to use your Kagari for a Link Summon to Shizuku. And it looks like he's setting himself up for the combo. He's going to set a card face down. Excuse me. 2 cards face down. I think that's where he wants to stop. He's definitely thinking. Does he want to do that? He's thinking. Nah, he's going to go ahead and set just 2 cards face down, and this is why. On the end phase, he's going to go ahead and use the effect of his Sky Striker Ace Shizuku. We can only imagine. You want to use that card's effect first, and this is why. We'll just wait until he actually gets to use it. So yeah, he's declared his Shizuku's effect. He's gonna add a Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor from his deck to his hand. And this is the crazy thing. Before he starts to activate his multi-roll, he can actually just use his Widow Anchor from his hand to his side of the field to negate his own Shizuku. That's gonna go ahead and place another counter on multi-roll. I mean, the negation doesn't even matter. But now he can activate his Sky Striker multi-roll and set both the engage back to his side of the field. And now he has another Widow Anchor due to it being searched by Shizuku. So Chip has a plethora advantage right now. He has 5 cards face down. We know 2 of them are Mecha Widow Anchors, and we are in for a ride. I'm going to go ahead and start off my turn by activating Prankit's Place. Prankit's Place is obviously going to allow me to reinforce with an army one of those Prankit's monsters from my deck to my hand. Desperately looking at this outcome, I think the only way to break this particular board is to summon Rip Roaring Roaster to my side of the field. Rip Roaring Roaster allows me to tribute itself to destroy all spells and trap cards my opponent controls. It's essentially a Harpy's Feather Duster, and since it's a quick effect, he can't chain. Well, he can actually activate Mecha, or he can activate the Mecha Widow Anchor in response to the summon, but I can just chain it, and it tributes for cost. So, yeah, there we have it. And the only unfortunate thing about that is that I have to put 4 Prankit's monsters to my side of the field, and you can only imagine that Chip, with his smartness, he's actually going to start Widow Anchoring one of those monsters to prevent me from doing that. I just can't think of a way to put 5 Prankit's monsters to my side of the field unless we have just a godly hand. I'm going to go ahead and use Invocation. We're going to fuse Prankit's Roxy's and Prankit's Fansies for the fusion summon of Prankit's Rocket Ride. Now, Rocket Ride is going to use the effect as Chain Link 3, and then the other 2 monsters is Chain Link 1 and 2 respectively, but Chip has a response. He's going to go ahead and Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor, and I'm thinking he's going to take control of his Rocket Ride, but Chip actually has a better idea. He's going to go ahead and leave the Rocket Ride on my side of the field, and the reason why he does this is because if he does take my Rocket Ride, he won't be able to activate his second Widow Anchor. Rocket Ride is as good as useless this time around, mainly because, yeah. Here's the thing. We actually had a little bit of a debate on this, and I rolled the Mecha Widow Anchor as Effect Veiler, and here's why. Yes, Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor does have the effect of targeting a face-up monster. It does have face-up in its card text, just like Effect Veiler. But this card is not Fiendish Chain, it's not Skill Drain, it's a targeting effect negation card. So when the monster decides to activate and resolve its effect, you guys should already know monsters' effects resolve and activate in the exact same spot no matter what. The monster's effect will still be negated because of how Widow Anchor is worded. So I'm going to be able to special summon Prankit's Drop Seeds to my side of the field. Thinking about my other monster that I need to summon, that was obviously through Fansies. And Fansy actually has a little bit of weird ruling. I actually think I have to rewind a little bit just to get it correctly. Fansies, Dropsies, and all of the Prankit's monsters do not send or whatever they do as costs. So the life point gain, the draw, the send to the graveyard, the burn damage, they're not cost. They're all a part of the effect. So you have to resolve them as each separate effect and not use them before their effects resolve, if you guys are getting what I'm saying. So I'm going to go ahead and banish the Thunder Dragon Hawk. But before you banish the Thunder Dragon Hawk, you actually have to draw a card and then special summon. It doesn't say banish, special summon, then draw a card. It says banish, draw, then special summon. So it's definitely one of those interesting wordings. Normally when you play with cards like that tell you to do a certain action, performing another action, it's normally a cost to do the first action. This time around, these Prankit's monsters aren't cost, which is definitely interesting. Maybe they would, actually, I know they would be a lot better if they weren't cost. And here we are looking at the Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. And yeah, we're definitely in a pretty bad spot. We're debating on if I can use Prankit's Rocket Ride. Chip is like, I'm not 100% sure. We're discussing on what can happen. And I'm like, no, you can't use it because Effect Veiler has very similar text. So we're going to go ahead and use our Thunder Dragon Hawk. And then we're going to be able to shuffle and draw cards. Or I think we're going to use our Thunder Dragon Hawk. But no, looks like Chip's going to show me that, hey, I have two more Widow Anchors and an Effect Veiler. Yeah, we knew that he had 2 Widow Anchors, but 3 Widow Anchors? We're not beating that. We're not breaking that board. I'm going to go ahead and scoop. I'm going to start off my turn, the very last and final turn, with polymerization, and using 2 different Prinkets monsters with different names. So anytime you guys can have polymerization on your opening turn and 2 different Prinkets monsters, you are going to make a board. I'm going to special summon Prinkets Rocket Ride, and then I'm going to trigger the effect of Lampsies and my Fansies, sending Prinkets Plan from my deck to my graveyard, and being able to inflict damage to my opponent, as well as special summon Roxy's and Dropsies to my side of the field. Chip confirms that he has no responses to any of my cards, and we are going in. We going in. We really about to go hard, though. I'm then going to use my Rocket Rides effect. I'm going to special summon back my Prinkets, Lampsies, and my Fansies back to my side of the field. And now, in this particular sequence, you want to be able to use all of your Prinkets monsters' effects to special summon other monsters to your side of the field. So I'm going to use the Roxy's and the Dropsies for another Link Summon. And we're not actually going to make Prinkets Doodle Doodle Doo. We're going to go ahead and Link Summon into Prinkets Bow Wow Bark. Now that's going to trigger the effect of Roxy's and Dropsies. I'm going to be able to special summon 2 more monsters to my side of the field. Now one of these monsters has to be another Dropsies. So we're going to special summon Dropsies to our side of the field. And then the other card is one monster that you want to add from your deck to your hand. I'm going to go ahead and special summon Prinkets Fansies. But then this is where I remembered, hey, Prinkets Roxy's kind of like have to draw and whatever first. So if hypothetically, if I draw the Fansies, obviously I can't special summon Fansies. But yeah, we got to actually do this effect correctly. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and banish the King of the Swamps as Prinkets Roxy's effect. We're going to shuffle back in the Fansies. Then we have to hand it back to Chip so he can shuffle and do whatever thing he has to do. Then we draw the card, then we special summon to our side of the field. That is the correct way to play it. Again, we're trying to play as well as possible. We're trying not to do any shortcuts. We're reading cards, which is definitely something new. And we do appreciate you guys, the people that actually like, hey, CaliEffect, we love your content, but you guys did this wrong. We actually love that. It helps us so much as players. I'm going to go ahead and special summon that Fansies back to my side of the field. And actually a quick shout out to our sponsors at Ultimate Guard, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys want to get some awesome mats like you guys see right now, then go ahead and check the link down below in the description. Use the CaliEffect 10 off for 10% off on your entire purchase. I'm going to go ahead and use Bow Wow Bark and Lampsies for a Link Summon and Summon Sorceress. Summon Sorceress targeting my Fansies, and since it's a Thunder monster, I can special summon Thunder Dragon Dark to my side of the field. Woo! Thunder Summon Sorceress making its way just everywhere in the Yu-Gi-Oh scene. Now I'm going to use both Fansies for a Link Summon. We're going to go ahead and summon Prinkets Doodle Doodle Doo to my side of the field. Doodle Doodle Doo is going to use its effect. I can add 1 Prinkets Spell Trap card from my deck to my hand, but you guys should already know. I'm going to add and activate Prinkets Place. Place is going to allow me to add 1 Prinkets monster from my deck to my hand, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to tell you guys a secret. I haven't normal summoned. So it's going to be really, really fun to see this ending board. So it's pretty obvious what's going to happen right now. Summon Sorceress and the Thunder Dragon Dark are going to be used for a Link Summon into Summon Sorceress. Or, I'm sorry, into Nightmare Griffin, triggering the Thunder Dragon Dark effect in our graveyard. So it's going to put us in a pretty good spot. Go ahead and CaliEffect, you know you want to do it. Thunder Dragon Dark is going to get Thunder Dragon Hawk from our decks to our graveyard, or from our decks to our hand. And now we are going to use the Thunder Dragon Hawk's effect. Thunder Dragon Hawk is going to special summon Thunder Dragon Dark back to our side of the field. We're in a good spot, ladies and gentlemen. Did I say Ultimate Guard? You should have said, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and special summon Thunder Dragon Colossus back to my side of the field. Why did I say Ultimate Guard? That is crazy. I meant Imperium Duelist. I'm going to give him a whole new shout out. I'm going to go ahead and normal summon Breakage, Dropsies, and then use both of those monsters for an Exceed summon. 2 totally awesome. I do need to get sponsored back by Ultimate Guard, but if you guys want to buy some of these cool mats, they are awesome. Imperium Duelist is the way to go, not Ultimate Guard. You're not going to find these mats at Ultimate Guard, but go ahead and check out the description. We have the CaliEffect 10 off for you guys to get 10% off. And again, I apologize. One of those blenders. You know, there's no script here. We're just talking off the dome, so sometimes we obviously mess up. In this particular situation, I think I put Chip in a pretty bad spot. I have Thunder Dragon Colossus to prevent him from searching. I have Nightmare Griffin to prevent monsters that aren't linked from activating effects. And then Totally Awesome, just in case he has a little bit of spice. Now, there are ways to break this board. Actually, through testing, I made an even bigger board, and Chip was able to break. He did it by activating his Mecha Multi-Roll, and then following up with using its effect to prevent me from, you know, obviously stopping enough. And then he followed up with a Widow Anchor. So this time around, he actually has the Multi-Roll. He's going to send Metal Foam's Fusion to the graveyard. And now he's going to use Metalfoes Fusion effect to shuffle himself back to the deck to draw an additional card. This is the moment of truth, ladies and gentlemen. He needs a Widow Anchor. If he gets the Widow Anchor, he can play Yu-Gi-Oh! Just a little bit more easily. Yes, he still has to deal with the Nightmare Griffin and the Totally Awesome, but it's a little bit easier to handle this board. But Widowmaker must come in here. Chip 102 is going to go ahead and draw his card. And, what is it? What is it? What is it? No, it looks like he's going to go ahead and pick it up. If I remember in this particular sequence, he had 2 Sky Striker mobilized engaged. I'm like, whoa, Thunder Dragon Colossus came in clutch. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. And if you really did, consider joining our Patreon. Also, give this video to 350 likes for the deck profile. I'll catch you guys the next time, ladies and gentlemen. Have a beautiful day.